What's happening, people? Welcome back to the Brothers Geek Out channel. It's G-Man out here, and this is a spoiler review for Miss Marvel episode 6. Spoilers, Easter eggs, takeaways that I kind of took away from the show. The episode is called No Normal, and I have to start with the end first. I have to. They said mutants. She is a mutant. We found out her origin at the end, that she has some sort of mutation in her genes. Bruno said it. He said the word mutations. You heard the 1997 X-Men tune playing in the background. Oh my god, she is the first mutant in the MCU. Well, maybe you could say Scarlet Witch and what's his name? Quicksilver were. But in regards to saying the word mutants or mutations, same thing, doesn't matter. They said it. Oh my god, I can't believe it. This just blows up the whole MCU, at least the world that we're living in, 616. But I cannot believe they did that. Freaking awesome. They played the tune. That is the X-Men tune. I'm telling you, man. Like, of course it's the X-Men tune. They done it in Doctor Strange when you saw Professor X come. They played the tune. You know the one. When that movie comes out, that's the soundtrack. They got that covered. If they do not use that soundtrack, they would flop. That would be basic. They will use that soundtrack. They might even use it when the Marvel logo comes out. That tune's gonna be playing in the background. They have to. I cannot believe that she is the first mutant in the MCU that they've actually called mutant, and then they've kind of acknowledged her genetics. Her genes are mutated in a certain way. Absolutely awesome. I think it's definitely she's the first mutant. It's definitely different from the comics, right? She's an Inhuman and all that stuff. But I'm cool. I can take that change. I mean, if they're gonna change it for the MCU, maybe get rid of Inhumans and just call them mutants. Why not, man? We need the mutants in there, or maybe introduce the Inhumans later on. I mean, I still want to see Black Bolt and all that sort of stuff. But they did in Doctor Strange, so maybe Inhumans still exist there. But the fact that she's the first mutant that they've called mutants, I can't believe it. They just opened the doors. I mean, we knew it was coming, but we finally saw it. You know what I mean? We finally saw it and heard it, and that was amazing. So, oh my god, I had to start with that. I had to start with the best part and the best thing about the whole show. I mean, not the best thing about the whole show. That's harsh to say, but one of the best things about the whole show, because it brings it. It just changes the whole MCU that we know of, which is amazing. So massive impact. A lot of people probably didn't watch the show. I heard that it didn't get the biggest viewership out of all the shows and whatnot, but it's got great reviews. But people who haven't seen it, you need to see it. You need to see the first mutant, or the one the first saying, calling a mutant and whatnot. Absolutely amazing. So I had to start with that. So let's go through it anyway. This episode's called No Normal. Starts off with Damage Control saying, they're investigating the scene that they blew up Bruno's shop in the last one. And then that agent, she's obviously got an issue, but she says something about, that's what happens when the wrong people get powers. And then the agent next to her was like, wrong people. Now for me personally, when I see that, when she says wrong people, my first thought is probably what the agent is thinking, like Muslims. That's what I think. And I could be wrong, but and we talk about it a little bit later through the episode when they go to the mosque and Nakia tells them, this is a mosque in America, meaning there's differences to it, meaning that we're under investigating by everyone. I think she even mentioned some, what did she say, pest control or something like that. Like, that's just the reality of Muslims living in the US. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean everyone in the US has a problem, but the government agent has surveillance over mosques and Muslims in the US just because of, stuff. I'm not going to go into it, but the fact that she said that comment, it kind of sounded like that, but she obviously corrected him and said kids, like children with power, which is still wrong anyway. I mean, why is she judging the kids? Anyway, so Bruno and Kamran are being chased, right? So it's following up from episode 5. They're being chased in the subway. Through that, Kamran's going through pain because of his powers. While he's getting chased from the train, as he holds on to certain things, his powers are a little bit uncontrolled and whatnot. They bump into someone, that person pushes him, causes him to use his powers and stops the train, breaks through the window and all that sort of stuff. Then it goes into the opening scene with, again, the different Miss Marvels and the different sort of backgrounds. The opening music is a cut scene. Oh, I don't know what it was. Anyway, Miss Marvel, then it opens up. Miss Marvel tells her family about that she is Nightlight. She makes an announcement, and the brother and the father already know because that's just the gossip. I think gossip happens in every culture, but again, one of the stereotypes that we have in our culture and in the Bengali culture, which I think relates, is aunties and mums. They just love to gossip. That's what they do. I hear my mum do it all the time through her WhatsApp and everything. But that was quite funny. The father saying that the father, she told the father, and he was using speakerphone. It's exactly what my father does and my parents do. My mum does especially. She's always got it on speakerphone rather than talking to her phone. So it's just easier. Again, something relatable. The father had a little moment with Kamala, expresses how proud she is, but also concerned, as a father would be, about her going out looking for trouble. It's like, now you're a hero, you're actually going to be going out looking for trouble to help people, which is a bit, obviously any father would be scared of that. And but she expresses, like, you taught me you taught me to help people, so it would be bad if I didn't go out and help people. The mother now is expressing trust, like she, because of that, their bond they had in Pakistan and all that sort of stuff. She is expressing trust now, completely different from the beginning of the show, where it was completely, I wouldn't say completely untrust, like she didn't trust her completely, but you could see the relationship back there where, when she wanted to go to Avenger Con and all this sort of stuff, the mum was like, no, I'm not feeling that. Now she's completely trust Kamala. So it's a completely change in dynamics and relationship with the mother. Nakia phones Amit's phone, her brother's phone, and then she expresses to Kamala that Bruno's been kidnapped. Bruno's shop was blown up and everything. Kamala's mum then presents her the Miss Marvel uniform, which is absolutely awesome. It looks wicked. It's authentic, it's Pakistani, it's cultural. The mother made it. It's just amazing, and I think it's just another key back to the first episode when she made her costume from the beginning episode. And so yeah, that was pretty awesome, and I think we kind of saw that coming. We saw that the mother was going to make the uniform for her, which was awesome. We see Kamala running through the skies. She stops at a traffic light, which was kind of funny. I do think that way, I don't know, maybe we'll see more. I do feel like that way of transportation, meaning that she's still running, but she's just in the sky on her little beams, cosmic beams or whatever they are, platforms. That still, she's gonna need a lot of cardio, man. It's a lot of training, because it's not like she's taking massive hope jump steps. It's still running. I don't know, that's my opinion, man. She's gonna have some good cardio the way she's running. Maybe the powers gives her some ultimate cardio stuff, as they do. Kamala goes, where we are? Bruno and Kamala and Kamran go to the mosque. Nakia says, okay, so again, this is what what I was talking about earlier. Bruno expresses her that, Nakia says, what are you doing there? And she's like, and Bruno says, I'm in the mosque. It's a place of worship and whatnot. And Nakia expresses that this is a mosque in America. Like, we're always under surveillance, which again, what I just said earlier, which is true, and Damage Control definitely did. They went straight to the mosque, because they come straight to the mosque. The lady, the agent, I can't remember her name, she walks onto the mosque prayer area, again with her shoes, all the agents do, when she was specifically told before, but that clearly just shows she has no respect for the house of worship and that community. Not saying that she's hates Muslims or whatnot, it's just a lack of respect. I don't care about your thing, I've got a mission here. And I think she's over, because of her mission and what she's trying to get, she's trying to find Kamran and whatnot, maybe she's just overstepping her respect. I don't know, but she was told specifically, don't step on the prayer mats with your shoes on, and she done it anyway. She didn't care. But she she walks in, and then the Imam, everyone shows their ID. The Imam expresses this is not our first rodeo. Again, expressing the fact that Muslims are always under surveillance in the US. He mentions a quote, as long as I'm on God's side, for God is always right. And he kind of says that when she's asking for Kamran and whatnot. That's what the Sheikh expresses. She turns to him and says, I'm not looking for any Quranic quotes and whatnot. And he expresses to her as Abraham Lincoln. It's an Abraham Lincoln quote. Nakia stalling, finding her boyfriend. So that's haram. If you want me to pull it out there, that's haram. Listen, the show, again, I've said this from the beginning. Like, if you're a Muslim who does not like the show because it's haram, If you watch all the other Avengers, then the whole thing is haram, so you can't criticize it. If you don't watch none of this stuff, then yes, you have all the right to say it's haram. And yes, it is haram, right? It is expressing certain things that in the show that is haram. Her having a boyfriend in the religion, it's not saying that you can't like anyone, it's human emotions and whatnot. But just expressing that she has a boyfriend and hiding him in the mosque isn't even more, I wouldn't say haram, but I thought the sheikh would have said, hey, well, hold on a second, like, I get it, you like each other, you should just get married. And that's what generally happens. It's not forced marriage, but it's like if you really love someone and you want to be with them, then you should get married because there's temptations. And outside of these temptations, you don't want to do them outside of Islam. So they kind of encourage you to get married. But obviously it's too young as well. So there's that education behind it. But again, it is a haram thing, end of the day, that they express that she's hiding her boyfriend in the mosque and whatnot. Anyway, that was there to cause stall for time. Where am I? Why do I always get lost in my notes? She gives him a hat. Oh yeah, alright, cool. Then you see that Kamran and Bruno was hidden. They come out. She treats the sheikh, says something important. He gives them directions to how to head to the school and which places not to go to. He says something important to Kamran and he says, just because someone treats you as an enemy does not give you the right to treat them as yours. So this is, I believe, a verse from the Quran, and just letting them know that, don't, just because they're treating you as an enemy, don't look at them as an enemy as well. Don't harm them, basically. Gives them hats, which was quite hilarious. One said halal, one said haram. Bruno's one said haram. Halal means, haram means sin. Halal means like it's fine to do. It's not a sin. I don't know how to put it in other words. They meet Kamala. She does some nice parkour stuff and comes down. Looks really awesome. It's the first time we see her in a uniform. She looks sick. I have to say Marvel do great with the not just comic book accurate, just the costumes. They look great. She looks awesome. We see in a uniform. Kamran's powers cursed. From the inside out, her mum's. So it seems like Kamran's power, obviously, he at that scene, he has this like burst of energy moment. You can hear his mum's voice. Maybe his power was cursed inside of him or something. Or it's his mother's power. Obviously, it's the mother helping him the power and whatnot. But you see that his power is uncontrollable at that moment. Her and Nakia, so they end up at the school. Kamala, she quickly makes a phone call to the Red Daggers to help get Kamran out of the USA. Her and Nakia have a moment. Obviously, Nakia was a little bit upset that Kamala didn't tell her anything, so they have a little moment. She apologizes and, blah, 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 so they make up. Zoe shows up. She was doing her TikTok videos in the theater because it has great lighting and whatnot. She helps out Kamala because Kamala saved her life, so she didn't rat her out. She knew Kamala was Miss Marvel and she didn't say nothing to Damage Control because she appreciates and respects the fact that Kamala saved her life. They come up with a plan. Kamala does this really, in a cool art way, as we've seen throughout the whole show. In a cool art design, she creates a whole plan and everything. Amir shows up, which I thought was quite hilarious because her mum sent him to look out for her. Typical in our culture, like our sisters going out, it's always like the brother, like it would only be my little brother Ash because they're mostly on the same age group-ish. Oh, you should go with your sister, go check up on your sister. It's a typical thing, and I thought that was quite hilarious. The real plan at the end of what she was expressing, even though they were setting up the whole plan, the real plan was Zoe's followers and getting the people on board and the people to help to show what Damage Control is doing to these kids, basically. Damage Control headquarters tells, I can't remember the agent's name, but the one that was inspired, man, he tells the female agent, don't go ahead. He knew this is wrong. You can't be attacking kids at a school. It's just wrong. And he talks about publicity and all that sort of stuff. There's a little scene with Zoe and Nakia, and Zoe expresses that Kamala saved her life and deserves Kamala to tell the world that she's Miss Marvel rather than Zoe go on TikTok and tell everyone. So there's a little bit of respect for Kamala. Kamala tells Bruno about Kamran's mom. Bruno expresses don't say nothing now until we're out of this mess because that's definitely going to affect Kamran and this whole plan. The brother has a little moment with Kamran and asks him about the British Bake Off, which is what they spoke about in the first episode, the second episode when they first met, and he pretended to be their British cousin and whatnot. Amir expresses trust in Kamala. He tells Kamran, I'm helping you because Kamala trusts in you and she's one of the smartest people I know. So again, I think it's something different or something we got a chance to see Amir express the love and the trust he has for his sister, because we saw that, but actually he's just doing the big brother thing, always taking the mick out of her and whatnot. Cool, then damage control comes in. There's a little bomb sort of destruction. They think it's a bomb. I think, again, when I hear this, this is just my opinion, it's, damage control's first, it looked like a bomb, to be honest with you, but, it's their first reaction to what could be what a Muslim could set up, which is a bomb. Maybe that's wrong, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking it, but it did look like a bomb anyway. But it set it off, and it was a music anthem. No, it was music from one of the early episodes. I believe it was episode 2 or 3 with the Marvel logo when that came on. Then they had the little battle against damage control and the plans going through. The music playing at the time was the anthems by Sweatshop Boys. Kamala and Kamran have a moment. They hold hands and you can see the cosmic powers. They almost kissed. Again, haram. If you're not married, listen to the facts in religion. I'm just saying, if you're not married, then it's haram. But the truth of the matter is, they're kids, they're young, they like each other. It's in the show. What are you gonna do? But I'm just saying, from a religious perspective, it is haram. Not just in Islam, but I think in general religion, whatever, most of the religions, those sort of actions before marriage. Just saying, put that in the show, haram. Bruno witnessed it. Again, I think you could tell Bruno likes Kamala, but he witnessed it. But I think he's come to peace that nothing's going to work out with Kamala. Kamran finally says, thanks Bruno. He finally acknowledges his name after 6 episodes, and that's a show of respect that, Bruno helped him out and whatnot. So that was nice. Kamala tells Kamran about the red daggers that they're going to help get him out. Kamran obviously knows the red daggers are against the clandestines, and he looks at them as enemies and whatnot. He asks about his mother. Kamala stops. So already you can see he's a little bit, uncomfortable with the situation, I guess. Kamala stops Kamran from hurting the agent, so she can see he's a little bit out of control. He's got a bit of anger issues because he knows something's going on. She reached out to the red daggers. Something's up with his mum, he doesn't know. He's a little bit out of control. So she stops him from hurting the agent, because her father tells, she learned from her father that she's supposed to be helping people, even though damage control is hurting them. And it goes back to that quote, just because that the Sheikh said, just because someone's treating you as an enemy, you shouldn't look at them as an enemy. And that's what Kamala is going by, basically. So she stops Kamran from hurting him. He's acting in anger, right? She tells him about his mother, about her dying and sacrificing her life. He's acting out of anger now, and she has to stop Kamran from killing everyone because he's getting a little bit out of control. Then you see Zoe's followers, because Zoe made a TikTok video. You see all the followers come to the school, everyone from New Jersey or the local community come to the school to kind of witness what's going on. It's bad exposure, it's bad press for damage control. But this agent, whatever her agenda is, she's just got something against people with powers, as she puts it. She's kind of defining all the rules and safety and stuff for the kids and just the community in general. So then they have a big battle with damage control and Kamran. Where am I? Shooting. So they're shooting at the kids. She's saying open fire at Kamran and Kamala. With, I believe, live rounds, and her parents and the community is watching this. Like, they're shooting live rounds at kids, and they clearly know these kids are not a danger to society. They do know that, right? They could tell a difference between a villain and not, because there's so many superheroes around and whatnot. They should know this. But anyway, what do you call it? The public seeing them. Then Kamala's kind of using her force field to block the bullets. They bring out a supersonic weapon that, like, similar to one that they used in Hulk. That's what it looked like, to break Kamala's force field. During that, Kamala gets some motivation. Her and Kamran are battered and whatnot. The parents, the whole community seeing this. she has that moment of like will and whatnot, and then she transform and gets big, just like her powers in the comics, where she's able to get big and extend her limbs and all that sort of stuff. She gets big, but obviously in a cosmic way because of the bangles and whatnot, and obviously, as we know, because of the mutation in her genetics. Mutants, awesome. So she makes sure she doesn't hurt anyone. She's very careful with her powers. You know, she calls, you know, when she damages some of the trucks that she just banged up, she went to the agents and said, "Are you okay?" So she's gonna make sure no one gets hurt. So that's her responsibility. They call her, the agents call her Miss Knight, which I thought was interesting, and she was like, "Oh, not that name." So you can already tell that she's not feeling that name. Kamran gets very over aggressive and he almost injures the public. You see Kamala like he like, I don't know, blasts a car towards the agent, almost hits the public, goes on top of them. Kamala saves them with her powers. Looks freaking awesome. She's just doing the right thing basically. Kamran's powers are dangerous to everyone. He puts a force around. You know, he's having his little moment where he's what's the word? Some sort of Dragon Ball Z power burst that he's doing. Kamala sees that you know he's a danger, so she gets closer, puts a force field around him, and then they have a little moment. You know, Kamala tells Kamran about her mother and the sacrifice, about his mother and the sacrifice that she made for Kamran to save the planet, and then she done that for Kamran and whatnot. So you know, Kamran was like, they're not going to accept us. Again, is that us with powers? Is that because we're brown with powers? I don't know. I'm just saying, because obviously this is the MCU. So saying not going to accept us, they already know everyone's got powers, so they've accepted everyone else. Is he referring to they're not going to accept us brown Muslims with powers? I don't know. Maybe it's just him. They won't accept him because he's already shown violent attitudes. But that's what, again, it sounds like, that they're not going to accept us Muslims with powers. Kamala tells him about his mom and the sacrifice she made. There is no normal. Kamran says that, you know, we're not normal, they're not going to accept us. Kamala responds with, there is no normal, it's us and what we do with what we've been given. And I think that's a kind of powerful quote. And not just related to superheroes, but just us in general, man. You know, we are not normal as human beings. You know, we're all individual, we're all unique in our own ways. Culturally, religiously, you know, size and whatever, all that sort of stuff. But it is us and what we do with what we've been given. You know what I mean? Whatever my abilities are, whatever my size, my weight class, whatever. Like, you know, I do martial arts and stuff. I've come to realize that, you know, whatever my weight class is, I'm gonna have to adapt to that. I'm gonna have to make best to that. I can't do what a heavyweight does. I can't do all that sort of stuff. I might not have the knockout power, all that sort of stuff. So I believe that's true, not just in the powers, but just in life. Whatever you got, whatever you've been given, is just you, basically. She punches into the floor, creates an escape for Kamran. The people around, even the police, the public, they come around Kamala, they're seeing her as our local superhero. We're gonna protect her. She's doing nothing but helped us. So Damage Control are out of line. Even the police have lined up to protect Kamala. Damage Control comes through, they break through, they don't care. Again, she's got her own agenda. She went against their headquarters. Feedback was saying don't go in. You see Kamala just run off in the background. The community cheers. I mean, it's a nice moment just to see that community, to be like, yeah, you know, she's one of us and she's a hero. She helped everything. That agent gets fired for publicly attacking kids, basically. And again, not just a Muslim. The community is happy. I don't think it's just a Muslim superhero, but a New Jersey superhero. You know what I mean? Like all the other superheroes are in New York and all that sort of stuff. There's a superhero now in New Jersey, which is awesome for that community in New Jersey as well. Then they go into a whole, you know, TikTok videos and whatnot, expressing everyone's excitement. You get everyone on there talking about it. What I found was funny and a bit relatable was the auntie saying how she ever gonna find a husband. Typical aunties say. I even hear my mum say something about, you know, certain females, cousins or whatever, if they do certain things like, why would she do that? Why would she study that? How are they ever gonna get a husband? It's a typical thing, which is hilarious, something that they think about. The Imam is quite funny, you know, he celebrates that we've got a Muslim superhero or a New Jersey superhero. and he turns into a hot dog. He's having funny with his TikTok thing, and then he mentions, "I hope this is a halal hot dog because obviously pork is haram. So hopefully it's a halal chicken sausage." Anyway, thought that was funny. Zoe, sorry, she's on her TikTok, and she calls Nakia an ally, saying she's an ally to the culture of Islam or whatever it is. So she wants to use her platform to kind of give a voice to the allies. The kid that Kamala drops in episode 2, he comes on TikTok and he was like, "Oh, I can't believe I was saved by her. How come she didn't? She flopped and made me break my leg. Maybe I was a beta test or whatnot," which I thought was funny. The Imam invites everyone on Friday to celebrate our own superhero and serving ice cream pizza. What that kid said that was his favorite food. But he also mentions after Salah, which is after prayer. So Friday is the prayer day for Muslims. We have our Friday prayers at midday, where we all gather at the mosque. So I thought it was quite funny that he mentioned after Salah. So obviously we pray first and then we eat this ice cream pizza. And then you see Kamala, she's watching all those videos, and then she's in front of the mirror. Behind her, you see the poster of Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, posing with, you know, a fist on the hips and whatnot. So Kamala takes that pose, and I think she kind of realizes at that moment that, yeah, I'm a superhero. I did this. It's awesome. And she can finally be like her hero, Carol Danvers. And then she does a cheeky little smile, a smirk, which again, I think it looks like the Carol Danvers smirk from the comics. Then there's a little scene on the roof with her dad, and her dad just gives her a nice, you know, sort of inspiring talk, saying that she's inspired people in the community, she has saved lives, and he mentioned, you know, you save one life, it's like you save the world. And again, I believe there's another quote from the Quran. The Quran also says something in the sense of, if you kill one innocent person, it's like you've killed all of humanity. And these are just quotes saying that as Muslims, we are not allowed to hurt innocent people. And I think this is just a reference to that as well. If you save one life, you save the whole world. So I think that's a beautiful sort of verse and a moment that she had with her father. Her father expresses to her, during the scenes you've seen as she's talking, Kamran goes to Pakistan and meet with the Red Dagger just to come out of trouble and whatnot, so at least that he made it there. So you see what happens to Kamran there. And then it goes back to the father as he's telling the story, and he tells her that Kamala or Kamal means what was it? Perfect in sorry, my words are all messed up here, but it means perfect in Arabic. But in Urdu it means marvel. So that's where Miss Marvel comes from. So in Urdu, her name means Marvel, and her father says to her, "You have always been like our little Miss Marvel," which is the name that she takes on, which is freaking awesome. She geeks out that she's saying, "Are you kidding me? I have the same name as Carol Danvers, obviously Captain Marvel." So she's geeking out about that. That obviously inspires the name. The father calls her little Miss Marvel and inspires the name. She jumps off. And then the father's like, "Absolute magic." He sees her jumping off and he says, "Magic, absolute magic." Now, I don't know, but I believe magic in Islam is haram. Or maybe black magic, studying black magic is haram. One of those things. So just another little interesting takeaway. I could be wrong. Again, I'm not no scholar. Like, I'm not a scholar in Islam or anything. But I believe magic is haram. So again, for him being an Islamic father and whatnot, looking at that and seeing haram, I don't know, saying magic was, I don't know, if it's against a religion then it's another thing, if not then maybe I'm wrong. I think he should have said something like Alhamdulillah, which is like God is great, by just seeing her, you know, just kind of referencing that. I thought that would have been a better line if he said Alhamdulillah as he saw her, because that's like, you know, instead of saying wow, absolute magic, that's like him just saying, you know, praise to God that this beautiful thing is happening. That's what I feel. I feel they should have just put that in there. Where are we? Then we see the scene. She's just sitting on the lamppost overlooking New York, which is great, and I think she's just acknowledging that this is amazing sort of thing. Then it goes to 1 week later. She meets up with Bruno in Kamran's car. He's gonna keep it. Bruno kind of acknowledging that he's going to Caltech, taking a car, and then he drops the news, which I already said earlier, which we're geeked out about. I mean, listen, this whole show was amazing, but that was the oh shit moment. I can't believe they did that. Mutant genes. He said, looked into your genes are a bit mutated, because Amir was asking, do I have powers too? So that's what made him look into her genes a bit more, or her genetics and whatnot, and he says your genes are a bit mutated. Oh my god! And they played the X-Men tune. I love it. The 1997 X-Men tune. That is the theme. When they play that, I mean, come on, when they say mutant, all you know is X-Men. Come on. Oh my god, that's so fucking awesome. Excuse my language. It's so awesome. It changed the MCU. Did it change? Well, I don't know if it changed the MCU, but it finally has confirmed and brought in things in the MCU. Now Disney owned Fox. They can use the word mutant. They don't have to say special advanced individual or any of that sort of stuff, and advanced or whatnot. No, mutant. Oh god, I can't wait to when we first get the first mutants. Oh, well, the X-Men. And I would love for her to meet the X-Men too. If she's a mutant now in the MCU, I mean, obviously she's an Inhuman in the comics, but if she's a mutant in the MCU, then she has to meet up with Professor X at least. You gotta give me that. She just said, you know, she kind of brushes it off and says, she's like, oh, whatever, that's just another label. And you know, as we know, these labels unfortunately causes division, right? Because as we know from the X-Men comics and the stories of the X-Men, the human race has something against mutants, just as they do, as we humans bloody do. When you see something different, when there's something different, you fear it, and when you fear it, you bring hate, and hate brings anger. You know that quote from Daryl Davis, who's a beautiful individual. If you haven't seen his podcast or heard of him, Google him. He's an amazing dude. He says, you know, fear leads to what did he say? Fear leads to hate, hate leads to anger, anger leads to hurt. But the way, I'm butchering this, but the way to overcome fear is through education and love. So, you know, when she says that it's another label, I think this is, you know, this is a label that we should get a great X-Men story of human beings fearing the mutants. So I don't know, I think that leads on to other things. Alright, cool. Then the show finishes, they drive off, we get a cutscene, which again is awesome. The bangle starts glowing, she gets up, she gets pushed back like something just hit her, and she transports into Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. I knew Brie Larson, I knew she was going to show up. I was saying this from the beginning. One of them have to show up. I thought it would have been a different moment where she flies in and meets Kamala and she geeks out and whatnot, but obviously this is a complete different way. They transformed, she transformed, or they just teleported and switched positions. So interesting to see why that happened or how that happened. Maybe, and why there's that connection, right? Because Carol Danvers comes in there, she's looking at the pictures of Carol Danvers herself all over the place, and she's like, oh no. So I wonder what's happened and how those two got connected. Did she, I would have thought in one way, did she get transformed into Carol Danvers? I mean, that's a weird thing, like she phased into Carol Danvers, like her hero, which maybe not, that might be stupid, but maybe Carol Danvers somewhere was messing around with something. Maybe she found the other bangle, because she still got one. Maybe she found the other bangle, she was messing around with it, and then that made them switch places. Carol Danvers didn't have the bangle in her hand, but maybe she dropped it as they switched places, and that's where Kamala she goes to wherever the hell Carol Danvers is. It could be on another planet, right? It could be on a Skrull planet or whatnot. I don't know, but I obviously it's got something to do with the bangle. So maybe, obviously, we're gonna find out in the Marvels, because they're gonna be in that. I feel like Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, we're gonna see a scene. My theory is that she's found the bangle somewhere, again with the Skrulls somewhere. The Kree, sorry, am I saying Skrull? The Kree. And then she's messing around with it, something happens, and then they switch places, and then Kamala ends up wherever the hell Carol Danvers was, and then she finds the other bangle, and then she puts that on. That's what I think. That's where she gets the two bangles from. That's my theory. Anyway, this show blew my mind away, man. Look, I mean, the mutant thing is my favorite part, if I have to say. I mean, the whole show was great, don't get me wrong, but that was just, you know, and the music, I love that tune. But look, my overall, views on the show, again, I really enjoyed it. It's a part of the MCU, so of course I'm going to be biased and I'm going to enjoy it, but I just love the way, it's a part of the MCU you could just connect to a new superhero in New Jersey. And again, as a Muslim, I'm not Pakistani, but as a Pakistani Muslim, you can just have that representation. I said on the beginning episode, the first episode, my little nephew, it's the first time I really saw representation where he kept on saying she looks like my ummi. you know, and I saw representation firsthand. But as I said before, you can always see representation in everyone. Yes, she's a Muslim superhero and whatnot. I can see representation in that. I can see representation in the fact that she's Muslim, which is great. But I could also see representation in her characteristics, wanting to help people. Same thing again, I can see that in Captain America, in Black Panther, in Star-Lord, whoever. I can name all the superheroes. You can always take some kind of representation away from any character, be it superhero, and sometimes even in a bad way, supervillains. But, you know, you shouldn't get too much representation from them because that will corrupt you. But that's what I'm saying about representation. You can take it from any character. It doesn't matter what they look like. Yes, if she's Muslim or he's Muslim or whatnot, and she's brown, she looks like me, that's beautiful. Like, again, you could get an extra bit of representation. Little kids can see that and be like, oh wow, again, Idris saying that looks like my ummi, it's just beautiful. But I still think you can take representation for everything. Because look and listen, I couldn't relate to her being a high school teenage girl. I don't know nothing about that. Also, being Pakistani now, the culture could be similar to Bangladesh, but they speak a different language. We speak Bengali, she speaks Urdu. I've never been to Pakistan, you know, so I can't relate to that sort of stuff. I can't relate to her being a teenage girl and all that sort of stuff, but I can relate to her as being a good person, trying to be a superhero, because I would want to be that. Again, being a Muslim and that whole cultural aspect was beautiful. And again, you hear it educates, you know, it educates Marvel fans or fans around the world who don't know nothing about Islam and might just think Islam terrorist and whatnot, but able through this show just be educated that we're just like everyone else. And some of the stuff that we go through, like, you know, the surveillance on the mosques for no reason and all that sort of stuff. So it's also a little bit of education of what people, Muslims and people go through in general. But yeah, no, I think overall, you know, brilliant show. What else was I going to say? Yeah, education to people, and I think it's important, you know. I mean, look, Disney, yes, they're very woke and they're going to put it all in there. But I always say, as long as the content is good and it's not forced, I'm all down for it. But if it's forced, then you're going to lose me, right? So cool, I'm glad that this was done well, the story was done well, she fits great into the MCU, mutants, I'm loving it, I'm all in. So, you know, great on Disney for doing this and Marvel for putting this show out, and you know, a lot of people who haven't seen it, I hope they go back and see it, you know, especially when the Miss Marvel's movie come out, or, you know, mutants, man. If you love mutants and the X-Men, you need to go see this and see the first mutant. Well, like I said, the first mutant that they say, I think Scarlet Witch really was a mutant, and Quicksilver, but the first time they've said mutants. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts on the show. Brilliant. I think we got nothing until what? She-Hulk. So I feel a bit lonely for the next couple of weeks. Oh, I love my Marvel Wednesdays, but we're gonna miss those. Anyway, me and Kibbs will talk about it. I want to get Kibbs' perspective and how he, you know, when he WhatsApped me, he was like, effing, mutants, X-Men soundtrack, amazing. So I want to get his thoughts. I'd love to hear what he's got to say on the podcast, so do watch out for that. But in general, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed my breakdown and my perspective on the show from different angles and Easter eggs. I don't have all the research that you might see from all the comics and all that sort of stuff, but I'm giving you it from what I found and my perspective. So I hope you enjoyed. Please do like and subscribe and all that other good stuff. And we'll catch you on the next breakdown, which will be in August for She-Hulk. Peace.